Hi everybody, I'm Chef Scott and welcome to Baker Madness 101. This is the premiere episode of a new series of shows that I'm adding to the channel. On Baker Madness 101, I intend to make sure that we all have a common level of kitchen understanding. To do that, I'm going to lead us technique by technique until you graduate as an online pastry chef following my 14-month program. Just kidding. No, I'm not. I graduated pastry school at the Scottsdale Culinary Institute Cordon Bleu at the super fancy Skybridge campus. Cordon Bleu. At one point, it was considered the absolute pinnacle of culinary expertise. And then a few years ago, things went a little bit south for the company here in America. As a matter of fact, there was a class action lawsuit brought against the company regarding placement initiatives and just general honesty in the workplace. But I don't really want to talk about that stuff. You can Google it. I had a great time. I loved every minute of school. Although there was some inconsistency in the real world. At school, they wanted us to do everything by hand in the style of the old world. But in real life applications, I found all kinds of tools and equipment that make life way better than in the old world. So we're gonna cover off on all of those. I will definitely use Le Cordon Bleu technique, but where we can cheat, we're gonna probably cheat. I will also make sure that you understand the kinds of tools and equipment that I use, as well as what I keep in my pantry. But all of that is going to be a separate episode. Today, I wanted a technique that was easy to show you, easy to pick up, and offered a recipe that you could make today. So come with me now, and I'll show you how in the Muffin Method. Welcome to the kitchen of the mind, also known as the Baker Madness, a luxury living room mega studio. Pa-pow! Yeah, the Muffin Method. You know, it was developed in the way back. And you probably use it all the time. It's mostly used for quick breads, pancakes, waffles, muffins, even brownie mix from the store uses the Muffin Method. This technique is fast and easy. It also comes with a hidden danger. It overmixes really easily. And if you overmix this, you're gonna have a tough muffin. And nobody wants that. I'll show you. First things first, you're gonna wanna preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, we're going to prepare our muffin pans, and you have a bit of a choice. I am going to use your favorite paper, little cups, little paper dresses here for my things, because what do I hate most of all of the baking universe? Cleaning a muffin tin. Please, just kill me now. Okay, so we're gonna use the papers. Now, if you don't have papers, if you don't have any of the papers, if you don't want to use the papers, if you like a path of resistance, then you want to just grease just the bottom, not the sides of the muffin tin, just the bottoms, okay? And you should also expect your muffin to be a little bit shorter. Baked in paper, the muffins have something to climb onto, and they race high. So try that. And now it's a tale of two bowls, a wet bowl and a dry bowl. Wet and dry. Let's start with the dry bowl first. Before we combine our dry ingredients, I have a little thing to ask you. You know what this is? Have you ever seen one of these? You know what this is? You ever seen that? It's a sifter. A lot of restaurants or shops have a big, like a big round one. You could put a ton of stuff in there and sift it. But at home, this has been handed down through so many generations. I've had it for 30 years myself, so it's an old piece of equipment. Why do I have it and what's the big deal? I'll tell you what the big deal is. A lot of recipes don't require or don't request or don't ask that you sift the dry ingredients. I don't always sift the dry ingredients, and for these muffins, you probably don't actually need to sift. You could add all your dry ingredients, just use a whisk it all together so that it's combined well, and then carry on with your recipe. Or you can add the ingredients to a sifter and sift them. Sifting the ingredients is important because this flour has been sitting in a bag for I don't know how long with other bags of flour, so it might be a little bit compressed. Sending it through a sifter is going to aerate it. It's going to separate those granules and let them get away from each other so that everything can absorb whatever we put in it. I like to sift. I'm the team sift leader, okay? So sift. This is 2 cups. Let me do it for the camera. This is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And we are going to talk about different kinds of flour in the future. Probably these muffins could be made with a pastry flour, would be even lighter, but we're not going to do that. This is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, or APF, that's what we call it. This is my sugar, and it is 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons today. This is about baking soda and baking powder, and we'll talk about them in more detail at another time. But briefly, baking soda is a bicarbonate. It's called that because if you mix it with an acid and liquid, say water or milk, it will react and create carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is what's going to get trapped in your network of flour and everything to give your product rise. Baking powder is baking soda plus an acid already mixed together. So all you need to add is the liquid, which is great for a recipe like muffins because we're not using any acid, we're not using any buttermilk, we're not using any lemon juice. We're just going to use a little bit of milk. So that's the diff. Don't ever substitute one for the other. They do not substitute. Asked me to tell you about gingerbread cookies one year. What a mess. Oh my God. So this is 1½ tablespoons of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt. Not very much salt, half a teaspoon. Everything goes into the sifter. Now, if I didn't have this kind of sifter with a little wheelie bob in there that's mixing it all up, I would add everything to a bowl first, mix it, and then sift it. Why? Because a bunch of food scientists got together and they measured how it worked, and they found out that strictly sifting doesn't necessarily combine the ingredients or mix the ingredients together. Simply sifting just lets things fall through the sifter into the same place that they were, now aerated, but the same. So by mixing them like that, you see I get a nice, look at how fluffy that is and beautiful. Set this to the side. Now our wet bowl. This is our wet bowl. First I'm going to take this egg and I'm going to crack it into the bottom of this bowl. Why am I doing this? Because I'm going to add a bunch of liquid here, and what I don't like is a bunch of liquid with an egg yolk bouncing around. It drives me crazy. So I'm just gonna give that a little hoo-ha there. Okay, then what I have here is a ½ cup of milk. Nope, this is a full cup of milk. 1 cup, 8 ounces. And then this is 1/3 a cup of oil. Today I'm using coconut oil that I melted a little bit earlier. It's nice and clear and clean. It's really beautiful. I made these just earlier today as a practice round. So that's 1/3 cup of oil. You could use any oil you're comfortable with. Canola oil or safflower oil or peanut oil or vegetable oil, whatever. You could even use butter if you want. Now we have our dry. It's all mixed and sifted. And we have our wet. We just make a little well there in the middle. We're gonna add all our wet all at once. Boop, 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 boop. Very nice, very nice. Looks gorgeous. Mix this all up. Now, here's the point. We're just gonna mix this until it's moist through. We might even have a couple of dry spots. Here's why. Gluten is actually the presence of two separate proteins, and those proteins combine with liquid and agitation to become gluten. Gluten is the protein network that gets very stretchy, and it holds the carbon dioxide and it grows your product. The gluten we're going to try to not develop very much. So you see I'm just mixing this till it's barely moist. Now, since these don't have any flavor, I don't have any vanilla or orange juice or anything to put in them, I've decided to add just a few chocolate chips, just to give them some kind of interest. Something like a chocolate chip to most recipes, barely a problem. Whoops. That looks like about enough. I don't know, that's probably a quarter cup maybe, a half a cup. Now, because this is already almost ready, I'm barely going to fold those in. Because as we scoop this, each scoop will also mix the mixture. If we mix the mixture too much, we could end up with what's called tunneling. So our dough, our muffin gets really tough, and then you get tunneling. Here's a picture. You get little holes. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants a bug hole in their muffin. So don't do that. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to scoop these. This is a 4 tablespoon. This is a quarter cup. You know, it's $10 or more. Invest in one of these. You'll have it forever. I'm going to do as many as I can. You want to fill your muffin about 2/3 full. Now, I'm using this scoop, so it gives them a kind of a rounded look already. But I'm getting them nice, and I want them just only the quarter cup. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. Off to the oven, 400 degrees for 20 minutes. See you in a minute. All right, here we go. Hot muffins, everybody. Look at there, looky there. And the one thing I wanted to show you, you should be able to poke one of these with a toothpick and pull it out, and it should just have almost no crumbs or anything on it. Just stab it in, and if it comes out pretty clean, then you're done. If it comes out and it's got gooey, sticky stuff on it, they're not done. Put them in for however long it takes. So let's take these off of here. Very nice, and you see that they grew really tall. They're very tall over the tops of the paper. We'll check for tunneling. Remember, tunneling happens when you've overworked your dough and you've developed too much gluten for the muffins. Muffins shouldn't have hardly any gluten. They should be very soft. I'm just going to cut it open and see how we did. Oh yeah, looky there. Very nice. You can see that it's solid cake from the top to the bottom. You can tell that there's no tunneling, no weird holes like we saw before. Very nice. And taste? Well, they're undersweet. They're not really super sweet. Oh my gosh. That's really nice. A basic B-flat muffin. You could add some cinnamon if you want. The half a cup of chocolate chips. That was a good move. Oh, before you bake them, you could top them with a little bit of sugar and give them a nice glazed top. Really nice. So there you have it. The Muffin Method. My name is Chef Scott, and this is Baker Madness 101. This is baking soda. It's not even baking soda, stupid.